Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the Bina Info session. My name is Jessie Schwartzman and I am the Teen Engagement Coordinator at JumpSpark. JumpSpark drives innovative teen programming out of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, and we're so excited to step into the role of providing more Israel opportunities for Atlanta's Jewish teens. We are thrilled to launch the Atlanta Israel Gap Year Scholarship, a $10,000 scholarship toward a gap year program in Israel. Studies have found that an exploratory year between high school and college often contributes to a boost in performance when students enter college. Additionally, students who participate in a gap year program, they're often more mature, self-reliant, independent, and employable than non-gap year students. At a time when the college experience could be a virtual one, a gap year in Israel guarantees an international communal living and growth experience that simply can't be beat. The diverse gap year programs that are part of this scholarship span a range of focus areas, cities, and religious affiliations. There's an Israel gap year experience for everyone, and we're happy to help you find one that's perfect for you. Tonight, we are so excited to learn more about Bina. Bina Gap Year is a life-changing 11th-month experience where you will truly be immersed in Israeli society, engage in impactful hands-on social action in South Tel Aviv, and explore Jewish and Israeli culture from a secular perspective. Joining us tonight, we have Zoe Furtick, a program representative, Ted Sasson, a parent of a Bina alum, and Jasmine Hellman, a Bina alum of the program. We're going to get started with Zoe presenting all about Bina. So welcome, Zoe.
Hi to everyone watching, and to Ted and to Jazz. It's so great to see you. One of the sort of perks of Zoom is the ability to randomly see my Bina family, even when we're all in different places in the world. So it's a pleasure to be here and to be talking to all of you out in Atlanta, and thank you to JumpSpark for organizing this. I am here tonight to talk to you about the Bina Gap Year program, and I could not possibly have more nice things to say about this program, which I have been a part of for many years already, and which I was there when Jazz was there, and I was there when Ted's daughter was there, and I know Bina is so close to all of our hearts, and all of us have our own experiences to share, but they can be summarized as follows. We love Bina, and you should go on their gap year program. But that being said, I do want to tell anyone watching a little bit about this program so that you can decide for yourself if this is the right program for you, which of course I think it is. But if you are interested in the information that I share and in the experiences and stories that Jazz and Ted share, then you are welcome to contact us and we will answer all of your questions, whatever they may be, big or small. So let me tell you a little bit about Bina. Bina is one of a kind. It's an acronym, Bina. It stands for Beit Yotzeret Nishmat HaUma, which stands for the house or the home that forms the nation's soul. And really, Bina does stand for exactly that value. It is an organization that is founded on 3 basic principles, which I can show you right here, all of which come together to create a home that will create a soul for the Jewish people and for the Israeli people that we're proud of. It is an organization where every program is founded on learning, number 1, action, number 2, and community, leadership, number 3. Now, these 3 values are best expressed in the gap year, which is a full year immersive experience where you get to put these 3 values into real life experiences in Israel with Israelis and Americans living together, doing Jewish learning, doing social action, and building community that you want to build. There are 2 different tracks of the Bina Gap Year, and you're welcome to choose whichever one best suits your needs. And they're similar in certain ways and different in certain ways. And if you're interested in the program, you can contact our representatives and we'll help you decide which track is best for you. You don't need to know that in advance. But what you do need to know is that each of these tracks has some sort of combination of learning and leadership and social action. It's just that the 2 tracks sort of have a different amount of each in terms of the programming, depending on where your interest lies. Right off the bat, I want everyone to notice one thing about this slide and that what differentiates the Bina program from any other gap year program that you're looking at. Bina has an Israeli mechina and an Israeli Shnat Sherut program. These are programs for Israelis taking a year to do service and learning between high school and the army. That's already happening at Bina. The gap year allows for Americans and international students, English speakers, to hop in to those programs while still being in a cohort of Americans or English speakers with a counselor who's an English speaker, but you are participating in a pre-existing Israeli program. So if you're interested in really getting to know Israel, in becoming friends with Israelis, being part of an international group that is subsumed in an Israeli program, this is the gap year for you. There is no gap year out there that will allow you a more immersive experience of getting to be in Israeli society with Israelis and really getting a taste of that year of Israeli service while also still providing a group of Americans that you can schmooze with and talk about Netflix with in your own home language and with a counselor who's going to help you acclimate to this new immersive experience. The Mechina program is a tried and true program of Bina. It is a program it is a competitive program in Israel that many Israelis want to be a part of. And one of the reasons why these Bina programs of the Mechina and the Gap Year and the Shnat Sherut are so in demand is because Bina is the only place where you can study Judaism, real Jewish learning from the text, but through a uniquely secular Israeli perspective. This program affords the opportunity to learn these texts in a serious way with some of the best teachers that you will ever find, but you get to do it from the perspective of how is this relevant to me? Will this have any authority on me, or will I just be inspired by it and make it my own? And you get to do that learning with a cohort of peers who are asking the same questions as you. What does this mean for me, and how can I make these texts my own? That's number one. Number two, Bina is located in South Tel Aviv, which is not necessarily the most glitzy part of Tel Aviv, if you had to ask a local. But the reason why Bina is there is because you are meant to be immersed in real Israeli society with all of its shades. And in so doing, you're able to volunteer at local places that you can walk to on foot, and actually volunteer and get to know some of the at-risk populations that are existing in Tel Aviv, sort of right around the corner. And all the time that you're doing this, you're also, participating in the learning and performing this volunteering along with your cohort and along with a group of counselors who are there to help you process, debrief, who are interested in how the community is experiencing these things together, and they want you to develop your own personal journey while going through these experiences, and the staff and the teams of Bina are there to help you as you go through these transformative learning opportunities and volunteer opportunities. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I'm actually right now sitting in Palo Alto, California, and I am here in Palo Alto because Bina has established a partnership with the Oshman Family JCC in Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And we are actually going to be offering a leap, an extra little bonus to the end of the Mechina program next year, where members of the Mechina and of the Gap Year will be able to come to Palo Alto for a month and actually be a part of a special group that gets to travel to Silicon Valley to learn about American Judaism, San Francisco and the Bay Area's Judaism, and to really strengthen the emphasis that the Bina Gap Year already has on learning social action and Jewish peoplehood, community, not just your group, but the global Jewish population of which you are a part. LEAP stands for learning, experience, action, and peoplehood, and that is really what that extra month is all about. Shnat Sherut, everything I just said is true, and more volunteering, so much more volunteering. So you don't lose anything by being on the Shnat Sherut, but the focus of the program is really on the volunteering aspect of the programming. I told you a little bit about the learning. It's deep, serious Jewish learning from great teachers, but I can't not mention that there's also an extremely important focus on the Hebrew language, and that you will be able to participate in Ulpan. And of course, there is no better way to learn Hebrew than by being around Israelis, and Bina checks that box 100%. This is the program where you will most be able to practice the Hebrew that you are learning in your Ulpan program with your friends from the Israeli Mechina, and that cannot be understated. It is extremely important. You'll be learning Hebrew and you'll actually be practicing it in real time. Now, no gap year is complete without trips, and Bina has many, many, many trips, and even better, Bina has empowered its mechinistim and its gapnikim. It's the gap year kids actually get to build your own trips, and Jazz can tell you about this, but it's an extremely important part of the program, that you're not only given the opportunity to explore Israel, but you're able to craft those opportunities for exploration from your own interests and with your own sort of itineraries in mind. So that is extremely exciting, and you get to go to the north and the south and Jerusalem, you go hiking and whatever you want to do. This land is your land. It's there for you to make your own adventures. I mentioned a little bit about the social action, and I just want to stress that the volunteer opportunities that are worked into your weekly schedule, part of what you're allowed to do is choose where you're volunteering and actually volunteer based on your interests. So you'll be able to work with your staff and the team to choose where you're doing your volunteering, and that to make it the most meaningful opportunity for you and your own growth and your own future career goals and your own future sort of academic interests can all sort of start to get fleshed out in your social action volunteer placements. Now, we have to tell you that a big part of being part of an Israeli program like Bina and being in the gap year as part of Bina's Israeli program is that you're learning how to live communally with your friends in the best of Israeli ways, in the classic traditional Israeli style. You are going to be in charge of your own budget. You're going to be doing your own cooking. There's an amazing chef who we love named Dora, who works on campus and provides several meals a week, including lunches. But you're living in an apartment with your friends, and this is your pre-college training to figure out, like, what do we get? Who's cooking tonight? Who didn't do the dishes? And that's an extremely formative and important part of this program, one that we're very proud of. You will definitely get to college ready because you have experienced it in the Bina apartments with your friends for sure. And it's one of, I think, the most beloved elements of this program is all of the independence that one learns by living in this communal Israeli style. So if I said anything that interests you and you might be interested in learning more, let me tell you who we're looking for. We're looking for people who want a gap year that is meaningful, impactful, and authentic in Israel with Israelis. We want people who care about social justice and volunteering, who want to learn Hebrew and want to know more about Israeli culture, who have questions and are interested in strengthening their Jewish identity and figuring out what Judaism should mean for them. And of course, if you've answered yes to any of the above, then you're obviously someone who's interested in developing your leadership skills, and let us help you do that next year. Yes, it's a program. Yes, it costs money. These details are available on the website, and they'll also be part of your application process. You can see the numbers on the screen, but you'll find out more once you send in your application. There's Masa scholarships, and thank you to Atlanta for the scholarships that you guys are providing for our potential applicants. We hope we'll see you next year in Tel Aviv, as Bina likes to say, with Pesach right around the corner. It's not Shana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, it's Shana Haba'a B'Tel Aviv. So please come join us in Tel Aviv. And if you're interested in our gap year to be part of our Mechina or our Shnat Sheirut, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to be in touch. That's the information download. You can find out all of that and more when you're in touch with us one-on-one. But you don't want to hear any more information. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know you want to hear from alumni and from parents of alumni who've had meaningful, life-changing experiences on this program. So with that, I will pass it to Jazz, because Jazz can speak from the heart about what her Bina meant to her when she was on the gap year.
Thank you. Wow, every time I listen to any sort of overview about Bina, I just get the biggest smile on my face, because honestly, like, it has been one of the best times of my life. And I don't say this lightly. I honestly think I am where I am today purely because I did my gap year at Bina specifically. So I'm Jazz. A bit about myself. I am a master's student. I'm a first-year master's student. I've been in Montreal, Canada, Quebec, since I finished my gap year with Bina. I am studying software engineering and human-computer interaction, and I hope to apply this in the social action, social justice sort of area. And this this goal and this purpose, I really learned a lot of this from my time at Bina. So why did I choose to go on a gap year? This is a really great question. When I was about 16, I decided that I was going to move to Israel. I then realized I was 16 and thinking about getting a whole new nationality, and got a bit freaked out. Wanted a little bit of like an in-between of like, you know, I don't yet know the full language. I don't know the full culture. Like, I should maybe test out how I'll fare, and you know, what I want to do with my life. And Bina was a really, really, really great option, because not only was I going to be doing something meaningful and impactful and constructive with my time after I finished high school, but I also would be living with Israelis, living with other international people, studying, learning, and not just learning, but like learning about the culture and growing into myself as an adult. And I had many conversations with my parents. My dad wasn't completely on board with the idea of a gap year initially. And I think I did a whole bunch of research, showed them, this is the statistics of people who go on gap years and like how successful they are later on. And I eventually won both my parents over, and with the caveat that I was to both apply to gap year programs and apply to university programs. So my senior year had a lot of applications, a lot of traveling to different universities, but also a lot of talking with Bina, especially because they were my top choice, just about what life would look like, and what the programs would include. And I got accepted to Bina. I got accepted to McGill University. I deferred McGill University for a year and came to Bina. And everything was kind of, let's see how it goes. Let's see what I want to do. And that's kind of how I got to where I am now. My time at Bina was insane. Like, there's really no other word. It was just like the most intense whirlwind of experiences and emotions and learning and people. And I have some of my best memories ever from just, the situations I was in, the people I met, my friends, my family. I still keep in touch with a lot of people, a lot of Israelis. We're constantly talking about going to visit each other. I had plans. One of my friends was going to come. She had finished her service a couple of years ago, and she was saving up to do a trip. She was going to come and visit me this summer, and then the pandemic happened, so that got postponed. So these, like, going to Bina, these are connections you're making for a lifetime. It's not just, a couple months out of your life. They are staying with you, no matter where you are in the world. So some things that I especially loved about the program, I want to touch on, I'll try and go through this quickly, but I want to touch on like each of the three sections. In terms of leadership, I think the best story I can possibly say is I was a part of the planning committee for the southern trip, the Sidrat Darum. And I decided I really wanted to lead a hike in the Negev. And so I was in charge not only of choosing the hike, I was not only in charge of the food and the money and the budget and where we were going to sleep the night before and the night after. I was also in charge of going down, doing the hike beforehand. So that way I knew exactly where we were going, exactly how much time it would take. And I we did not realize how cold it was going to be at nighttime. And we had decided that we would camp outside. Everyone was very cold, and we had to, I think that was the first time I really learned about crisis decision making and the best ways to use money in a crisis to make sure everyone had enough warm tea throughout the night, and a constant fire going, so that way we would all be happy and well rested for the next day. Those skills have served me well. I stayed active in Jewish life after I came to McGill as an undergraduate student. I started an organization. I used all of those skills that I learned throughout the year at Bina, like for years afterwards. It's been 5 years. Every single year, I'm still using those skills. In terms of social action, there's nothing more I can say other than we live in the community where the kids are. I have so many stories, but a nice sweet one is I went grocery shopping one day. A girl came over, tugged on my arm, and she's like, Jazz. And she was in my after school program. And I saw her like 3 or 4 times a week, and she saw me while I was grocery shopping. She ran over to me from her mother and was like, let me help you. I want to help you shop. And she was like fetching stuff for me because she was just so excited. So like, you're not also just, volunteering, but you are involved in the lives of the people that you're volunteering with. You're involved in the community. It's a really unique experience, no matter where you are in your life, to have that sort of connection to your community. And that is something I hadn't really learned beforehand. And I really value that. And I still try and search for that even now. And learning, the classes are amazing. What I learned at Bina, it shaped my political views. It shaped my ability to think critically about hard situations in the world and within yourself, and just be able to look at so many perspectives and make the choices that you need to make. And especially today in the world, that's something that everyone needs to learn. And sometimes you don't realize how badly you need to learn it until you're, in the middle of a really complicated situation, and you have to take a step back and learn about it objectively, as well as analyze your emotions on it. I think I've used up all my time, but I really, really, really recommend this program. It's amazing. I basically learned Hebrew in a year. I'm not completely fluent, but it was, the Ulpan was great. Everything's great. I'm happy to take questions later. And I think Ted is going to be next.
Thank you, Jazz. I'm Ted Sasson. I'm the parent of Kinneret Grant Sasson. And when I hear Jazz describe the impact of the Bina year as an intense whirlwind, as life-changing, and as inspiring her enduring commitment to social action, I think that makes a lot of sense. These are the ways my daughter Kinneret experienced the program. And I think its signal impact on Kinneret has been her enduring commitment to social action, to making a difference in the world. And so I just want to underscore the resonance of Jazz's recollections, her memories, and her sense of how the program influenced her. I live in Boston. I'm a college professor for most of my career. And my daughter Kinneret participated in the Bina Gap year program in 2015-16. And that was a little while ago. And in a few moments, I'll mention how I returned through Kinneret back into the Bina fold this year. So let me just say a couple of words about Kinneret's experience during the Gap in 2015-16. And I offer these observations, I guess, to underscore comments that Zoe and Jazz shared already. Kinnared's program entailed group living. Kinneret lived in a shared apartment with Israeli and North American participants. They managed their own communal life, including negotiating their interpersonal relationships. They managed their food budget. They cooked together their evening meals, although the main meal of the day, I think, is the catered lunchtime meal, but there's still a lot of coordination, a lot of negotiation, and a lot of relationship building and mediating that goes on during that communal living experience, all scaffolded and structured by staff, but worked out by the participants themselves. That was a critical aspect of the year for Kinneret. The other critical aspect of the year was her volunteer experience. Kinneret volunteered in a kindergarten in South Tel Aviv, serving the local population, which includes Israeli children, children of Israeli families, typically disadvantaged families who live in South Tel Aviv in a fairly poor neighborhood, and also the children of asylum seekers. The volunteer commitment was a very serious one. I remember being struck by the fact that it continued throughout the entire year. There was no expectation that the participants would switch out their volunteer experiences. Why? Because, well, I realized very quickly that the volunteering is not structured to be about the participants. It's to be a vehicle for service. And the children in the kindergarten needed stability. They couldn't have their volunteers changing up every couple of months. So Kinnaret's commitment was to the kindergarten, to the children, to the other members of the staff, and it continued throughout the entire year because it was about the children and the need to provide them with stability and excellent staffing. And of course, a subsidiary learning experience for Kinneret was that service is a serious thing, and it's about the people you serve. It's not about the person who is engaged in the service. Kinneret also took a whole variety of classes taught by really outstanding faculty, classes in the Jewish bookshelf, classical Jewish literature, Zionist literature, and classes on contemporary social issues. In the first part of the year, Kinneret took classes mostly in English with her North American counterparts. In the second part of the year, she joined classes in Hebrew with her Israeli counterparts. And I think those three legs of the program were simply critical: the communal living, service, and the educational program. Kinneret went on after her gap to attend a really terrific liberal arts college, and she had a great college career. I've got to say that I never had the sense that her college work felt quite as urgent, quite as purposeful, and quite as meaningful as the work and the learning that she did during the Bina gap year. And I just want to say that I think in part, the experience in Bina was so transformative precisely because it was challenging. The communal living, the volunteering, the educational program, each in their own way, posed challenges to the participants that they had to grapple with and overcome. And it was through serious engagement with real challenges. How do you live with other people? How do you live with people from a different culture and different country? How do you serve children in a poor community? Rising to meet these challenges was just a tremendous growth experience for Kinneret. And I think I heard that echoed in what Jazz had to say about the program, and I think it's true of Bina in general. Just a word about Bina's place in the ecosystem of gap year programs. As I think about the range of gap year programs that are available for North American Jewish kids in particular, I think there are a variety of programs that are mainly educational and that have a service component. And there are programs that are mainly service programs and they have an educational component. Bina is unique in its full commitment to both service and learning and the ways in which each creates a meaningful context for the other. That's one thing. A second is I think that Bina's communal living model with staff support is tremendous preparation for college and for independent living. The autonomy that the participants have in constructing their own communal living experience makes life in dormitories in college, I think, relatively easy in comparison and smooths that transition. I think Bina is unique among gap year programs in its commitment to a fully reciprocal diaspora Israel exchange. Each party brings the best of their culture and learns and engages with the best aspects of the other's culture, perspective, and orientation. I can't think of any other program that has Americans, North American Jewish students, Israeli Jewish students living together in a fashion that is truly reciprocal and that honors each side of that equation. So last observation. I think when I think about Bina, I promised that I would mention how I returned to Bina's fold in 2020. Kinneret graduated college in May 2020, and it made perfect sense to her parents that she turned to Bina for her first job after college. She applied to Bina and asked if they had any role that she might play within the organization, and she joined Bina in August as a counselor in the gap year program, and now she's 8 months into that experience on the staff side of Bina's work. The last thought that I'd like to share is that cutting across the various dimensions of Bina's program, I think what was most influential for Kinneret and was most impressive to her parents is Bina's genuine, unqualified, and unapologetic idealism. It's Bina's, as an organization, its staff through and through, its commitment to service, to learning, to Israel diaspora relationship, to making Israel a better place, and to building global Jewish peoplehood. It's these commitments that enable the organization to pose serious challenges to young people, to enable them to address and overcome those challenges, to grow through that process. And it's that idealism that was contagious. It's stuck for Kinneret. It was life-changing for her and deeply impressive to me, to my wife, and to our whole family. Thank you, and that's all.
Thank you. I love that full circle story from participant to staff. It's really beautiful to see how that came full circle. I want to thank you all for presenting. I'm ready to sign up for Bina, but I do have a few questions for those out there. Zoe, can you talk a little bit about the application process? Is it lengthy? Are there certain expectations? What does that really look like to apply for Bina?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And of course, these are also questions that can get answered when you contact us directly. But the application process is very straightforward. There's a personal questionnaire with like your basic info. There's a health history form, and then there's 3 short essay questions. Once you submit that, you'll have a Zoom interview with our admissions coordinator, Samantha, and then we'll take it from there.
Perfect, thank you. Jazz, can you talk a little bit about how this program really helped your connection with Israel and, help shape your Jewish identity? Anything you want to touch on about that?
Yeah, so this is a complicated question. I think the biggest thing that I got from Bina, that I think only Bina could have given me, was the comfort that just like any relationship with anything else in your life, it changes, and it's okay if it changes. It grows as you grow, and through Bina, I not only was able to explore, travel the country, travel to different places, meet different people, hear about different experiences, learn about the laws, and just understand the whole systemic ecosystem that's going into the country to be what it is that we know today, or at least for myself 5 years ago. Kineret and I were actually in the same cohort together, so we she's great. We had a lot of fun together. But like Bina really provided me with the security of knowing that it's okay to struggle, both with my own Jewish identity and with my identity with Israel, but that it's always going to be there, and it's always going to be a place I can come back to, with people I can come back to, and a home of sorts that I'm always going to have. And I like being critical. I like thinking about things critically. I like thinking about myself critically. And the classes I took, especially the teachers I had, the friends I had, the places we went, like I said, everything just kind of came together to provide me with the space where I could learn and grow, and the skills and tools within myself after I left, once I came onto a university campus where tensions are notoriously high, especially at mine, just to be able to know how to navigate things on my own. And I truly am grateful for that. In terms of my Jewish identity, I actually struggled a little bit, both before and after, and I really learned that there's no one way to be Jewish, and that is a lesson I really needed. And Bina was really great at trying to bring in lots of people's different traditions, whether Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, Bukhari, Yemeni, like all of the different Ethiopian, I mean, like I can't even name them all. There's so many ways to be Jewish. And I have desperately tried to bring that with me into my life as a university student, as a Jewish member of my own family, whether that's with Passover. I incorporated freedom seders into my family, and we discuss about social action, social justice, all of that 100%. I learned straight from Bina. And, you know, I added things of my own over the past few years from my new experiences, but the platform was built during my gap year.
Awesome. I really love how the program really broadened your horizons, really see, you know, Judaism and Israel in such a different light. So thank you for sharing. Ted, I'm gonna ask you one final question as a parent of an alumna. Why is a gap year? Why is Bina a great opportunity for high school seniors? Why is it important that high school seniors go on these gap years?
Well, for the students themselves, I think a gap year is a fabulous opportunity to recuperate a little bit after the intense work of high school, and also grow emotionally, socially, prior to embarking on a college career. It's an opportunity to practice independence and also prepare for, in the case of Bina, because it's such a rich academic program, the challenges that kids who continue on to college will face when they arrive at the university campus. But there's a value to the global Jewish community that goes beyond the value to individual Bina participants. Bina is preparing a new generation of leaders for the Jewish community who are committed to a creative, pluralistic Judaism, and that are committed to global Jewish peoplehood, to the Israel diaspora exchange, that are deeply knowledgeable of diaspora and Israeli Jewish societies that have a capacity in the Hebrew language. These are aspects of what Bina offers that I think make it unique, and that are really important for the Jewish world, and not only for the individual participants. In a sense, and I say this as a college professor, maybe more important than what is going to follow during the college years.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all our presenters tonight. That was a very informative session. Like I said, I'm ready to sign up for Bina. If you're interested in learning—
Me too.
We're all going to go. If you're interested in learning more about our Gap Year Scholarship and additional upcoming events to explore other programs, you can visit our site at tinyurl.com/jumpsparkgap. Make sure to follow us on social media at JumpsparkATL for other information and content on all our programs. And thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.